it's time for spoopy season, so I put on my spoopy light. You've heard of haunted dolls, cursed mirrors, and even paintings that drive their owners mad. But this one is different because this one isn't tied to a person. It's trapped inside a box. And I know that doesn't really sound scary, just don't open the damn box, problem solved, but people aren't as smart as you. Our story begins in 2001 with Kevin Mannis. He was an antique shop owner from Portland, Oregon. He was scouring an estate sale looking for something interesting, different. Something with a little bit of story behind it, a little bit of zip. And what he found was an old, handcrafted wooden wine cabinet, just small enough to fit on a counter. The woman running the estate sale said it belonged to her grandmother, a Holocaust survivor from Poland. Great. I bet that box is going to contain a very benevolent spirit. Before selling it, she warned him that it was a Dybbuk box, and that should never be opened. Now, a Dybbuk is in Jewish folklore. It's a restless, malevolent spirit. Not just a ghost, but a fragment of a tortured soul that clings to an object or person instead of just passing on. According to tradition, a rabbi can trap a Dybbuk in a sealed box during an exorcism. This is why the box was nailed shut and sealed with wax, which to Kevin was an invitation to open it, because Kevin didn't believe in curses, and neither do I, but I always operate on that what-if principle. I don't believe in this shit, but I'm not testing my luck for a goof. So being told a little bit of the backstory, Kevin bought it anyway, and he planned on refurbishing it and selling it. And the moment he brought it into his shop, strange things started to happen. He'd leave the store, lock the door, he'd come back the next morning, and he'd smell a whiff of cat urine. Now, that could easily be explained if he owned a cat. I don't know if he did, And out of the corner of his eye, he would see shadows moving along walls where nothing stood. And he started hearing whispers and voices behind him, never clear enough to understand. Now, Kevin must have really loved his mother because he gave her the box as a gift. Within literally minutes of receiving it, she collapsed. A stroke. And you have no idea how much willpower it's taken me for to not laugh. Thankfully, she survived. But she told Kevin that she saw something standing behind him just before collapsing. And that's when he decided to sell it. So in 2003, Kevin sells the Dybbuk box along with the story attached to the page. And the listing went viral because the early internet loved a good creepypasta. It eventually landed in the hands of a college student named Jason Haxton, who worked in a medical museum in Missouri. Jason didn't believe the story either, at first. But the moment the box arrived, he began waking up in rashes, coughing up blood, and smelling the same foul odor that Kevin described. His coworkers complained of strange electrical surges, and museum visitors reported feeling suddenly dizzy when near his office. When Haxton investigated, he discovered the box's disturbing contents. 2 1920s wheat pennies, a lock of hair with a cord, a wine glass, a dried rosebud, a golden goblet, and a candle holder. Each item believed to be a part of an old Kabbalistic sealing ritual to trap something inside. And inside of the cabinet walls, faint Hebrew carvings of names, possibly the spirits that have been bound within the box. Jason eventually locked the box away, inside a gold-lined ark in his home, surrounded by salt and sealed in Torah scroll fragments. He claimed this calmed the activity, but not completely. Then came Zach Bagans, the host of Ghost Adventurers. He bought the Dybbuk box from Haxton to put it on display in a haunted museum in Las Vegas. And when Boggins opened the box on camera, witnesses say a dark energy filled the room. Strong enough to where the production team stopped filming for safety. This is kind of convenient. Oh, what's our jobs? Record paranormal shit. What do we do when we see paranormal shit? Stop recording! Now, one of those guests, famed Minecraft YouTuber Post Malone, reportedly touched the box. Weeks later, he was in a near-fatal plane accident, his home was broken into, and he got in a car accident with his Rolls Royce. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timeline does fit a little too perfectly for my liking. Even skeptics admit that there's something off about the box. I'm one of them. Tests showed traces of candle wax and animal fat, which were common in rituals. The design matches pre-war Eastern European cabinetry, the kind of cabinetry that was used in many of these types of spiritual rituals. And almost every owner has documented some form of psychological or physical deterioration after handling it. Haxton himself claimed that the box adapts to you and takes your greatest fear and amplifies it. What makes this story different is that it's not just an urban legend. It has a paper trail, it's photographed with traces of actual ownership records. Not to mention a celebrity was involved, which it could have been a really elaborate PR stunt, but faking a plane crash is a little much. There's no ancient mystery here. The box was built by human hands, and it just hates being opened. Today, the Dybbuk box remains sealed inside a glass case at Bagans Museum. Visitors claim that they can still feel a sense of static in the air, a vibration that raises goosebumps and makes cameras glitch. Now, if you ask the curators at the museum if they believe the spirit inside is real, they won't give you an answer. They give you a straight face and say, just don't knock on the glass. The Bell family lived in a small settlement in Adams, Tennessee. John Bell was a farmer, a church deacon, and by all accounts, a well-respected man. He lived there with his wife Lucy and their children. In the fall of 1817, Jack noticed something strange in the fields. A creature that looked like a dog with the head of a rabbit. Not really a creature that would instill fear, just confusion. And it vanished before he could take a shot at it, which is a natural response to seeing something that shouldn't be alive. That night, the knocking started. Then came the whispering voices. Too faint to understand. But clearly human. Within weeks, things escalated. Sheets were ripped off of beds, furniture moved on its own, and Belle's daughter, Betsy, was waking up with handprints and red marks on her face as if someone was slapping her. The neighbors started hearing it too. Voices that sang hymns, quoted scripture, and mocked the Bell family by name. In early 1818, the spirit finally spoke clearly. It called itself Kate, but the residents just called it the Bell Witch. I would have called it the Bell Bitch, but you know I shouldn't say that because I don't want to invoke its wrath. And I don't really like calling women bitches. I'm sorry, Mom! Now, the Bell Witch claimed to be a woman that was wronged by John Bell, though it never explained how. It cursed him, saying she'd make his life miserable. And eventually, she'd take it. Witnesses described Kate being able to speak in multiple voices at once, mimic anyone in town, and even finish conversations that were happening miles away. It wasn't just a haunting, it was an intelligence. It responded to questions and even predicted the future. When word spread, the story drew attention from miles around. People came from other states to witness it. Among them was Andrew Jackson, who fought alongside John Bell's sons in the War of 1812. I love you too, Milo. Take notes, Hassan Piker. Notice how I didn't use a shock collar on Milo for doing something I would have preferred him not to do. Bottom line, it should go without saying, but unfortunately it doesn't. Treat animals with respect, and let's continue with the video. I wasn't scared. He almost knocked over my half-full glass of water. Yes, I said half full, not half empty, because I'm an optimist. Which you gotta be when you're talking about scary shit! Fuck you, Milo! Oh, I love you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Jackson arrived with several men, wagons, horses, and was determined to prove that it was all fake. But as they approached the property, the wagon froze in place. The horses refused to move, and Jackson reportedly said, "Die by the eternal boys, that must be the Bell Witch. I don't know why I made them squish." Moments later, the voice hissed, "All right, General, you may enter." I think that's how she sounds. I mean, she could mimic voices, so at some point she probably did. That night, Jackson's men heard banging on the walls, saw furniture slide across the floor, and one of the soldiers even said his bed flipped while he was sleeping in it. By that morning, they packed up and left. And Jackson infamously said, "I'd rather fight the British again than spend another night with the Bell Witch. Die, America forever." For years, the witch's focus remained on John Bell and his daughter, Betsy, whispering threats, taunting Betsy by singing to her while she cried, and appearing at night as a shadow at the foot of her bed. It was probably just Andrew Jackson standing over her going, "Nah." In December of 1820, John Bell fell into a coma. On his bedside table was a vial of this dark liquid that nobody recognized. And the voice of the witch reportedly said, "Well, I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night. He'll never wake up." John Bell would die that morning. At his funeral, the spirit laughed, loud enough for mourners to hear. She also sang hymns, mocking his coffin as it was lowered into the ground. After his death, the witch announced that she would leave and would return again in 7 years, which she did. In 1828, she returned to John Bell's son, Richard, and told him that the world was going to enter a dark age of war and corruption. She didn't really give a deadline for that to happen. She just said she'd return again in 107 years, which would be 1930. Fuck. So that would have been 1935, meaning she'd be off by 4 years, so not a good prediction now, is it? And according to local papers, strange lights were seen above Adams, Tennessee that year. Go figure. To this day, you can still visit the Bell Witch Cave in Tennessee. Locals say that this is where the witch would hide out when she wasn't terrorizing the Bell family. People who take rocks or soil from this cave, that would be my dumbass, because that's what I do, suffer bad luck. Car accidents, illnesses, even death. Some people even reported after turning the rocks and soil that their streak of bad luck goes away. Park rangers have even kept apology letters sent by people who mailed the rocks back. So if you ever visit Adams, Tennessee, just remember, don't take the rocks, and don't speak her name in the dark. This tale starts in 17th century India, in a temple devoted to the goddess Sita, where there's a massive blue diamond said to be embedded into the statue's forehead, a sacred offering that was never meant for human hands. And then in 1668, some French gem merchant named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier stole it. Of course he had it in French. He changed its shape, carving it down to sell it, calling it the French blue. Very French of him. Within a few years, Tavernier lost everything. His fortune, his standing, his family, all because he was French, as he deserved. Different accounts say he died alone or was ravaged by disease. Others say he was torn apart by wild dogs traveling through Russia. I like that one. Whichever story you believe, it was just the beginning. The diamond made its way to King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King himself. He wore it to court, showing it off as a symbol of divine power. And then after his death, he gave it to his great-grandson, King Louis XVI. 16. That's a lot. That's a lot of narcissism to just keep it going in the family like that, like their genetic pool. And then Louis XVI gave the diamond to his infamous queen, Marie Antoinette. And when the French Revolution hit, you guessed it, they were both imprisoned and guillotined. Now, you could say that was because of the gem, and then you'd be saying that the gem put the whole French Revolution into motion. Well, their royal collection was looted, and the French blue vanished. And for years, people thought it was gone forever. But decades later, a smaller diamond with the same impossible blue hue was found in London. Of course it was. Found. They fucking took it. The diamond had been recut. Smaller, sharper, and renamed the Hope Diamond, after the wealthy banker Henry Philip Hope. From there, the curse read like a pattern. Each owner richer than the last. Each death stranger than the last. The Hope family, one of Britain's wealthiest families, went bankrupt in 2 generations. Which tracks. Usually the generational wealth doesn't stay because the younger generations don't know how the fuck to maintain what they got and they blow it. But again, let's say it's the stone. One descendant reportedly took his own life after receiving the gem. Motherfucker, you were given a blue golden ticket, just fucking double the bad luck to the next person and sell it! And then came Evelyn Walsh McLean. An American socialite who bought the diamond in 1911. And then she laughed at the curse, saying, "Bad luck avoids me." She wore it everywhere, at parties, at the White House, even gardening. Then her family started to collapse. Her son was killed in a car accident, her daughter died of an overdose, husband ended up with another woman, ended up in a mental institution, and when Evelyn died, the diamond was found locked in a safe, with the key still in her hand. And after Evelyn's death, the diamond was sold to settle debts. It ended up in the hands of a New York jeweler, Harry Winston, who admired its beauty, but he wanted nothing to do with its history, so he donated it to the Smithsonian in 1958. He didn't deliver it by hand or in an armored truck with armed guards. No, he just put it in a brown paper bag and gave it to some poor bastard in the U.S. Postal Service. According to him, the safest way to deliver it was through the Postal Service because curses don't follow mailmen. Oh, maybe he was right, because nothing happened to the guy. And since the Smithsonian took it, the diamond has not changed hands since. It remains guarded 24/7 behind bulletproof glass, still emanating that strange blue hue. This story starts with Sarah Winchester, born in 1839. The wife of William Wirt Winchester, the heir of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. And the rifle wasn't just another weapon, it quite literally changed warfare. It was dubbed the gun that had won the West, and by the 1800s, it had killed more people than any other firearm in history. In 1866, tragedy struck, with Sarah and William's infant daughter dying of a rare illness. 15 years later, William himself died of tuberculosis. And so Sarah inherited the modern equivalent of over $500 million and 50% of the rifle's empire. You'd think that'd be enough to move on, but Sarah wasn't the same. She became withdrawn, pale, and obsessed with the idea that her family was cursed. Literally me in the winter with seasonal depression. She believed that she was cursed by the spirits of everyone who has ever died at the hands of a Winchester rifle. Lost and desperate, Sarah turned to a spiritual medium in Boston. I didn't plan that! I put the script together a while ago and it got a little nippy tonight, so I threw on my Boston hoodie. During the seance, the medium told her, "Your husband says that there is a great evil upon you. The spirits of the dead seek vengeance. You must build a home. And as long as you never stop building, you shall live." Sarah packed up and then headed to West California, where she would buy an unfinished 8-room farmhouse in San Jose. And then she started building. No blueprint, no master plan, just constant construction for 38 years straight. When the workers finished a project and asked what to build next, Sarah just said she received instructions during a nightly seance. She'd sit in a seance room with one candle lit and would commune with the dead. They told her where to add rooms, where to close off staircases, and how to confuse the spirits that were hunting her. Sarah would die in 1922. And what was already a massive 8-bedroom house had grown into 160 room with 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and over 10,000 windows. Which is a lot of sand. Anakin would be furious. All of these rooms, but it made no sense. Staircases that led to the ceiling, doors that opened to brick walls. Windows that look into other rooms. There's even a staircase that leads to nowhere. It just ends in mid-fucking air. Some people say that the layout was designed to confuse spirits that were haunting Sarah. Others say it was to quite literally trap them in some kind of spiritual labyrinth. But the strangest part is that there was some level of meaning behind it. There was an obsessive use of the number 13. 13 windows in every room, 13 hooks in the seance chamber, 13 panels in each glass door. It was everywhere, like a code. Carpenter said that she would wake them in the middle of the night to change something. Move a window 2 inches to the left, seal a hallway, reverse an entire damn staircase, and she never explained why. Some workers even claimed that they saw her speaking in empty corners of the room, pausing to listen, and then nodding as if she was receiving orders. At this point, I'm just thinking, how much were these carpenters getting paid to stick around? Because on one hand, you're getting constant work for 38 straight years on the payroll of one of the wealthiest women in the United States. On the other hand, she's batshit insane. I don't know. I think that's kind of worth it. Her house was constantly in motion. Even after earthquakes, when sections of it would collapse, she would just build around it, not even concerning herself with cleaning up the mess. One worker said it was like she was building a prison for something invisible. So when Sarah died in 1922, the construction halted immediately. All the workers walked off the project with nails half put into the walls. When people got word, treasure hunters swarmed the estate, scouring the house, exploring all of the rooms and nooks and crannies and strange places for treasure. Some rooms were completely sealed off. You'd have to break a brick wall down to get in. And inside one of those rooms, there was a single chair. And on that chair was a dress folded perfectly, waiting. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is a tourist attraction that you can still visit. People who work there say that, ironically, the construction never really stopped. And people can still hear in the hallways echoing a hammer hitting a nail. In the summer of 1966, the Pritchard family would move into their 2-story council home in Pontefract, West Yorkshire. Jean and Joe Pritchard moved in with their 2 children, Philip and Diane. For the first few days, and you know how the story goes, everything was normal. And then it started small. White dust began falling from the ceiling as if it was snowing. There was no leak, no damage, and then green foam started bubbling out of the faucets. Electrical lights flickered on and off. Doors slammed themselves shut. At first, everyone thought it was a harmless prank. That is until a heavy wardrobe slid across the floor by itself, trapping their daughter against the wall. That damn wardrobe's a PDF file. And then they saw him. A dark hooded figure, dressed like a monk. Locals started calling the entity the Black Monk of Pontefract. The haunting quickly grew violent, one of the most aggressive in Europe's history. Objects levitated, photos were shredded, crosses flipped upside down, pools of water appeared on the floor in perfect circles and then vanished. It wasn't just sounds and shadows and noises. The Pritchards claimed to be physically attacked. Diane, their daughter, was dragged up the stairs by an invisible force, leaving scratches all the way down her neck. The family called priests, psychics, even the police. One priest blessed the house in holy water, and once it hit the building, it boiled. Researchers dug into local records, and what they found made the story even darker. Hundreds of years earlier, an old monastery had stood nearby, and legend says that a monk from that monastery was executed for... I can't say it. It was a little girl. He was hanged, and left to rot right where what would be number 30 East Drive, the house the Pritchard family would come to live in. The idea that the house sat directly over where the monk was executed is where the name the Black Monk came from. In the 1970s, paranormal investigators began documenting the case, with one of them, Tom Cunniff, describing a black mass in the corner of a hallway that was darker than the shadows around it. Even skeptics walked away shaken, and when a photographer working for a newspaper tried to take pictures for a debunking article, the camera in his hands exploded. One investigator was thrown from a ladder and broke his arm after shouting, "Show yourself." In the early 2000s, new owners who bought the property had no idea what they were walking into. Within days, they reported heavy footsteps on the stairs at night, the sound of dragging chains, and a male voice uttering prayers in Latin. During one investigation, one of the cameras caught a black shadow crossing the landing, followed by a loud, guttural human scream. Infrared thermometers showed temperature drops of over 20 degrees in seconds. One chilling EVP record captured a chilling voice screaming the words, "Get out." The house still stands today, and now it's used for ghost tours and paranormal research. But most people don't stay for long. If you're really interested in these stories, there are a few movies made about them. The Black Monk has one called When the Lights Went Out, and the Winchester one has had like 3 movies made about it. But that's all I have for you guys in this one, and I hope to see you in the next one.